If you want to see the true measure of a man, watch how he treats his inferiors, not his equals. It is impossible to live without failing at something, unless you live so cautiously that you might as well not have lived at all, in which case you have failed by default. It is our choices that show what we truly are, far more than our abilities. I was set free because my greatest fear had been realized, and I still had a daughter who I adored, and I had an old typewriter and a big idea, and so rock bottom became a solid foundation on which I rebuilt my life. Anything's possible if you've got enough nerve. The truth, it is a beautiful and terrible thing, and must therefore be treated with great caution. It does not do to dwell on dreams and forget to live. To the well-organized mind, death is but the next great adventure. The moment you are old enough to take the wheel, responsibility lies with you. Poverty entails fear and stress, and sometimes depression. It meets 1,000 petty humiliations and hardships. Climbing out of poverty by your own efforts, that is something on which to pride yourself, but poverty itself is romanticized by fools. There are some things you can't share without ending up liking each other. Whether you come back by page or by the big screen, Hogwarts will always be there to welcome you home. Humans have a knack for choosing precisely the things that are worst for them. The thing about the 600 words, I mean someday, you can do a very hard day's work and not write a word, just revising, or you would scribble a few words. You sort of start thinking anything's possible if you've got enough nerve. Honestly, I think we should be delighted people still want to read, be it on a Kindle or a Nook, or whatever the latest device is. Fear of a name increases fear of the thing itself. I would like to be remembered as someone who did the best she could with the talent she had. I've laid my friends bare. It is perfectly possible to live a very moral life without a belief in God, and I think it's perfectly possible to live a life peppered with ill-doing and believe in God. The middle class is so funny. It's the class one know best, and it's the class where you find the most pretension, so that's what makes the middle classes so funny. Hearing voices no one else can hear isn't a good sign. Even in the wizarding world, I always felt an outsider. His priority did not seem to be to teach them what he knew, but rather to impress upon them that nothing, not even knowledge, was foolproof. Writing and cafes are strongly linked in my brain. There's no formula. My favorite literary heroine is Jo March. It is hard to overstate what she meant to a small, plain girl called Jo, who had a hot temper and a burning ambition to be a writer. People ask me if there are going to be stories of Harry Potter as an adult. Frankly, if I wanted to, I could keep writing stories until Harry is a senior citizen. But I don't know how many people would actually want to read about a 65-year-old Harry still at Hogwarts playing bingo with Ron and Hermione. Harry Potter gave me back self-respect. Harry gave me a job to do that I loved more than anything else. Jane Austen is the pinnacle to which all other authors aspire. I just write what I wanted to write. I write what amuses me. It's totally for myself. I never in my wildest dreams expected this popularity. The internet has been a boon and a curse for teenagers. What's coming will come, and we'll just have to meet it when it does. Never trust anything that can think for itself if you can't see where it keeps its brain. It takes a great deal of bravery to stand up to our enemies, but just as much to stand up to our friends. Indifference and neglect often do much more damage than outright dislike, and the idea of just wandering off to a cafe with a notebook and writing and seeing where that takes me for a while is just bliss. Youth cannot know how age thinks and feels, but old men are guilty if they forget what it was to be young. Never be ashamed. There's some who'll hold it against you, but they're not worth bothering with. Imagination is not only the uniquely human capacity to envision that which is not, and therefore the fount of all invention and innovation. In its arguably most transformative and revelatory capacity, it is the power too that enables us to empathize with humans whose experiences we have never shared. Talent and intelligence never yet inoculated anyone against the caprice of the fates. The most important thing is to read as much as you can, like I did. It will give you an understanding of what makes good writing, and it will enlarge your vocabulary. Of all the subjects on this planet, I think my parents would have been hard put to name one less useful than Greek mythology too. Securing the keys to an executive bathroom. Failure means a stripping away of the inessential. Death is just life's next big adventure. The thing about fantasy, there are certain things you just don't do in fantasy. I think you have a moral responsibility when you've been given far more than you need, to do wise things with it and give intelligently. When people are very damaged, they can often meet the world with a kind of defiance. Bigotry is probably the thing I detest most. The best of us must sometimes eat our words.